Why did you tell the police that you stepped on glass? At this time, we were at the height of police brutality. I was in deep fear when pulled over, and they had guns on them, with there being a gun in the car. I don't know if they're gonna shoot first and ask questions later. I don't want to die. I didn't want anyone else to die. So, Detective Tar goes on to play the footage of Megan inside the ambulance crying.
You're listening to Street TV.
Walk us through what that moment inside the ambulance was like for you. At that moment, I'm just realizing I'm shot. I've really just been shot. DA Tar proceeds to play the helicopter footage showing shirtless Tory spread out on the street while Megan limps and hibbles around with her hand up. Later, a footage of Megan sitting on the ground with her bloody legs stretched.
You're listening to Street TV. You're listening to Street TV.
Walk back on the sidewalk.
Yeah, keep walking back on the sidewalk.
79, Roger, everybody needs no one more than hanging.
We're gonna help you.
Keep coming back to the sound of my voice.
As much as you can walk, get on your knees.
Martha and Hollywood, they can stand by having their La Brea and Hollywood for,
That passenger step out of the vehicle. I see you. That passenger step out of the vehicle. I see you.
Or Maplewood Canyon, Murder Hollywood.
Step out of the vehicle.
Get out of the vehicle. Hurry up. We're in the street. Please away from us.
40.
He's away from us. He's away from us. Okay, keep moving back. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Okay, stop. Move a little to the right.
You're listening to Street TV.
Everything is done by either Hollywood or Hollywood.
Look back. Arm down. Hold 69.
I know. It's gonna be fine.
All right, don't move. Give me your arm.
Okay. Hey, look, don't put your back too far in my shit.
Okay.
I'm not tripping.
Okay.
Bring that back, okay? Everything's gonna be fine.
Okay. I'm gonna roll you over. Okay. You're gonna sit up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're gonna put your right foot under your left knee, and you're gonna stand up. No. Keep this foot on the shoe. Okay. I'm just gonna help you up. Okay. All right. We're gonna walk over to the sidewalk. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, come on, let's get
You're listening to Street TV.
Stand right here. Spread your feet. Okay. I got it. It's fine.
Megan, you okay?
What happened?
Hey, now we're gonna walk to the corner, okay? That's where the always
In my
You're
phone.
listening to Street TV.
Yeah.
Tal displayed photos of Megan's wounded feet, hateful tweets, and an Instagram page. This Instagram page was dedicated to solely hating me. I see tweets and Instagram posts every day. Every time I see something new, oh, that bitch should have got shot in the head. Too much twerk. Who cares? Who cares? She fuck everybody. She should have been shot. So day 4, we see testimonies from Kelsey Harris, Detective Warren Eberhardt, and Dr. Lee Haruno. Dr. Lee Haruno, who is the chief resident of the orthopedic surgery at Cedar Sinai, walked through the X-rays showing the wounds to Megan's feet. They removed what they could during emergency surgery that night. The fragments could cause persistent. Lee Haruno testified that the fragments could cause persistent pain or be symptomatic if they were left in place. I considered any amount of bullet in a person to be a fragment because entire bullets generally lodge don't intact, and we surgeons don't always see what to remove. Megan was under anesthesia surgery, and this lasted probably about an hour. She was hospitalized overnight. As I was researching this case and reading the report around Haruno's testimony, I contacted my friend who is actually a trauma surgeon and has treated bullet wounds. She treats soldiers in the army, and she has been, she's basically well versed in this field. So I hit her up on what the fragments actually meant, because they said they found 4 fragments in Megan's feet. She basically answered me saying saying usually you can see if the casing is intact. If it's 4 whole casings, that's 4 shots fired. But more often it's one bullet casing that 1 bullet or casing that as soon as it hits the body or hits bone, especially, it breaks into fragmented pieces. So 1 shot, 4 fragments. If you have a description or an X-ray, I can speak to specifically. After she said that, I was like, fine, let me get the. I don't know. I didn't have the X-ray, but I showed her the picture of the foot and the work that, and the foot that has been released to TMZ, and she basically says that looks to me as though it hit something else and fragmented before it hit her. So I asked her, so the fragment is what was in her feet after it, let's say hit after it had, let's say, hit the floor. Damn. And then she says that is very plausible. So to me, what's coming across here is just the fact that that just based on this medical this whole thing alone, that the bullet didn't go directly into her feet. It was just, it hit the floor near her, and the fragments is what caused the injury. I think that's what Dr. Lee is also describing here. It doesn't mean it's less painful. I mean, it could literally just hit and graze the feet or anything like that. It doesn't mean it was absent and the fragments, it was this far apart, or this far apart, and then the fragment just flew somehow and then grazed. No, it was very close is what it is the picture I'm seeing, and it just basically took out our feet. On to Kelsey's direct examination. Kathy Tarr, who is the prosecutor for this case and deputy DA, asked her the following question. Says, you don't have immunity to perjure yourself on the stand. Yes, ma'am. Was Megan shot that night? Again, her team told me she stepped on glass. Do you remember the text message you sent moments after Meg was shot saying, help, Tory shot Meg? Those were your words, correct? That's my assumption. I did hear gunshots that night, but I never saw Meg limping. The cross-examination was as follows. MG said, have you had any contact with my client or his lawyers or felt intimidated in any way? Harris responds, no. Has my client paid you anything? Harris responds, no. I would actually like to make that very clear. I have seen some things from Meg's attorneys, and I am tired of that line. So no. Your goal was to incriminate my client and keep yourself out of it. Harris, no. Are you afraid of my client, Tory Lanez, Mr. Daystar Peterson? No. Were you and Meg fighting just before Meg was shot? Be truthful. You have used immunity, which means they cannot use your testimony against you. Like I said, alcohol. Kelsey, I understand it was alcohol. I need you to be truthful with me. Did you and Megan get into a fight? You get into a face, push, kick? We probably just bumped into each other. You just bumped into each other? Yes. What kind of bump? Like, was it like you chest bump? Not a chest bump. So you don't want to tell us? No, I just don't remember. So, did you ever hear anyone say, dance bitch? I don't know where that came from, so no. The redirect was as follows. How many people were in the vehicle? There were 4 of us, including me. Kavita goes on to say, Megan didn't shoot herself, did she? I think so, no. Sorry. I don't think so. No, sorry about that. Did Jaquan shoot Meg? No. Did you shoot Meg? No. Who does that leave? No responses was recorded of this. So moving on to the recross. For those that follow me, they may have watched the Johnny Depp and Amber trial, where it was just the format of direct, cross, and redirect. The recross only happens if new evidence was to have come out during the redirect that, they felt like they had to refute, so they would go in and recross based on that evidence. They according to a lawyer that I know, that spoke to me, this usually happens by if they petition to a judge, and the judge would accept or deny based on their feelings, based on their arguments, and it's also on their discretion. So a recross happened here. So let's deal with that. He said, MG says, you did a track, you did rap in the track, busting back, saying, I'm taking shots at you, bitch, I'm busting at you. Say it again. You said, I'm taking shots at you, bitch, I'm busting at you. Do you not? Are you saying it verbatim? Okay, let me say it verbatim. MG looks through his phone on Genius and recited the lyrics saying, I'm taking shots at you, bitch, I'm busting at you. I'm sure you are aware how rap lyrics go. Now, going on to Detective Warren Eberhardt takes the Detective Warren takes a stand, goes on to say, let's run through this Instagram comment that's not true. What were your findings? This was Detective Abbott. I'm sorry. This was District Attorney Abbott, Deputy District Attorney Abbott, that basically asked that question. EB says, based on the totality of circumstances in my investigation, the comment that was not true was posted as a reply to a comment in a post where Kelsey was seemingly blamed for the shooting. And I can confirm that the comment in response saying that's not true came from Tory Lanez's Instagram. And you can identify Tory in this courtroom for us today. He is over there wearing a burgundy red jacket. MG on the cross-examination goes on to say, where's your report, sir? EB says, I didn't write it. MG says, who actually controls Tory's Instagram account? EB says, I didn't look into it. At the time, I didn't think it was relevant. There were several trial rulings on that day. Judge Hereford had granted prosecutors their motion to play the full 80 minutes of the recording of the Kelsey Harris interview with the prosecutors, and accepted the argument by the prosecutors that the defense opened the door to this by impugning their integrity on cross-examination of Harris. It will be heard tomorrow. Judge Hereford also allowed the prosecutor's motion to present a text Kelsey sent to Megan as evidence on the night of the shooting that read, should I get a scan at urgent care? My chest is hurting, my left side, back and neck hurts, but that's from the fighting and him dragging me out of the car by my hair. The prosecution had argued that the text was critical as Kelsey disavowed her September 2022 statement that Tory assaulted her and pulled her hair, buffing out of the efforts of the defense, who tried to exclude it by arguing that it's late discovery. Judge Hereford also granted the defense their motion to call Detective Ryan Stogner, who was the lead detective on the night of the shooting and arrest of Tory Lanez, to ask him questions on why Kelsey wasn't pursued as a possible shooter. Providing they don't use its current arrest on suspicion of domestic violence, citing that it will be far more prejudicial than probative, effectively rebutting the defense argument that it goes towards its credibility as defense claimed that Stogner initially told them was fired. But turns out he's only on administrative leave. Day 4 was wild. Day 4 was wild. And I could not believe a lot of the things that happened. I'm going to start with Kelsey and her backpedaling on this. This is the backpedaling is just insane. It's not only the fact that the text message that was sent was, she basically said, no, I didn't mean to send that, or I said something else. I assumed something else had happened, and I just assumed it was Tory that said it. this is plausible. Yeah, okay, fine. You can, but you were there. You were there at the scene. Like, you could not have missed that. Like, I don't understand. Again, this is going back to day 3 testimony where she is giving an account of all that happened. How do I even reconcile this? Like, you know, with the postpartum and all that. The text is pretty contemporaneous. This is 2020 we're talking about. You saying that you just assume it was Tory and using the defense of our team said that she stepped on glass. I don't know. That just doesn't sound credible to me. I think Kelsey shot herself in the foot as a witness completely, and the defense also shot themselves in the foot. I don't know why you are questioning the... I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I have no leg to stand on saying all this. I don't know anything about law. This just sounds like common sense to me. If you have evidence out and there is an opportunity, it could be brought in because of inconsistency or the possibility of you questioning the integrity of the entire investigation. If you can attack someone's credibility and that can bring in evidence, and you know this as a lawyer, surely you would focus on the witness than the prosecution. Like, I don't know. I don't know. From everything I've seen, you always attack the witness. You don't go for the prosecution, because if they're the ones that are conducting this interview and you're saying they were being dishonest, they got Kelsey to say all these things on the interview, even after the judge has given the jury the instruction that they should disregard it because it's just refreshing our mind, and you still went again. It's a shot in the foot. I'm sorry. What could have saved them if... Again, I don't have the full court transcript, so I don't know what was said in the courtroom. But I think the Instagram message was really damning as well. They didn't, from what was reported, they didn't do a good job trying to circumvent or remove the entire case from the prosecutor's hands, because that is Tory in his own Instagram saying he didn't shoot her. So if that's Tory in his own hands, in his own account saying they didn't shoot her, it is conclusive to the jury at that point. He's probably the one that did it, and Kelsey is out of all suspicion or to give reasonable doubt. But the fact that I didn't see the defense digging into the fact that I didn't look into it at the time, I didn't think it was relevant. I think that was extremely relevant, because in the industry, with, you do have PR that takes over your account. You do have a PR strategist, spokesperson, all these people that will take over your account and tweet for you. You do have social media managers. I'm really surprised that the defense didn't try to bring that evidence in to try to or at least make that argument to say, he has this, he has that, he has this. Let's bring that in and say, yeah, it's possibly not him, and it was just someone that just doesn't like him that would, send that message. It could be true. You don't always like your bosses, and you could be the person running the account could be so invested in the case, on this case, that they could be compelled to make that statement. It's a leap and bounds. Don't get it twisted. But to cause doubt, bring that in and just leave it. But nonetheless, let's move on to day 5. And this was where Kelsey Harris 80-minute interview was played. Let's go. So it says, Tory was saying something about Meg needing to tell her the truth, and I was confused. Meg was saying something like...
Because this was random, and so I said, what? Like, what are you talking about? And Megan's like, Kelsey, don't listen to him. He's just trying to make you mad. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? And next thing you know, the arguing, began with Tory and Megan. He was definitely calling her like bitches and hoes, and so, you know, I stepped in and I said, you know, you're not going to talk to my friend like that, you know, like, I don't care what y'all got going on, but you're not going to talk to her like that in front of me. So he got offended, and now me and him are arguing. And we're you know, honestly, when I argue, I can say things that are hurtful too. So he said, my nigga, I'll shoot you. And if you shoot me, then I guess it's my time to go. Like, you know, like, and I've never heard him speak like this. Basically, I guess insinuating that they're gangsters or something. I don't know. I'm from Canada, my nigga. Like, do you know? And I'm like, okay. And like, so, you know, now we're just going back and forth. He said, my nigga, I'll shoot you. And so
He said that to you?
He said that to me. So he reached, like he was going to grab something. He reached towards the middle console, but he never pulled anything out.
So, do you remember anything at this point that was being said between them?
At this point, they're arguing about each other's artistry as a career as an artist. She's telling him like you're only this and that because you're on a remix with Jack Harlow, and he's telling her things about her career as an artist, which I can't remember what he was telling her, but they just started hitting each other with their career as an artist. Get out of my side, and no sooner do you know, you start hearing gunshots going off. It was 5 gunshots. I look up maybe at the second or third gunshot. That's when I look up, and you see Tory. He's now in the front seat. I guess he must have jumped over. It was very smooth transition because we didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. And he's leaning over. The door is open, and he's leaning over. Like the window.
Which door? Is it the rear door?
The front right. So where Megan was sitting.
Okay, so his door's open. In the
driver's
side.
My door's open in the back, and the front door is open to where Megan got out. The front right passenger.
Both doors on the passenger side
are open. Correct. So.
And is he shooting through the window or over the top of the door?
No, he's shooting over the top of the door. So.
Over the top of the door would be the rear passenger door?
The right front passenger. So, again, as I said, he must have jumped, or I don't know how he did it because it was very smooth. And he was leaning over the front passenger door, and, you know, she was shooting the gun.
Where were you standing at this point?
At this point, I'm standing kind of like my body's still like to the side behind the door, the rear passenger door. She was walking away when this happened, but by the third, fourth shot, and by the time I look up, she's facing towards us, and I've described it like a deer in headlights. Mm-hmm. I'm short. I'm 4'11". The vehicle is kind of a little raised up, higher than me, so I can't really see. I can only see from her chest up. That's all I can see. But the way Tory was angling the gun is kind of like, it wasn't like straight. It was like, you know, down. Mm-hmm.
It was down in her direction?
Definitely in her direction. Definitely in her direction. We kind of were in shock, you know.
Did you hear him say anything as he was shooting?
He did not say anything.
Okay.
I can't tell you guys where Tory pulled the gun from. Like I said, the motion when he first threatened me was middle console, but I don't know if that's where the gun was. So I see Tory coming around the vehicle. It's dark, lights are flat, hitting him. It's almost like a scary scene. So again, I'm in defense mode. I see him coming around the vehicle, and in my head, I'm thinking he's about to come over here and attack us.
Mm-hmm. Do you see whether or not when he's coming around the vehicle if he still has the gun?
I don't believe he had the gun.
Okay.
So like I said, I just thought he was coming over to attack us. So I stepped in between where he was coming to where Megan was. And at that point, that's when the assault between me and him happened. He assaulted me. And Quan then he just comes and he picks me up like a little doll. And he's like, Kelsey, they do this all the time. And I said, huh? She's bleeding. She's been shot. I don't know if y'all know she's shot. By that time, he's already to where Megan's at. When I did that, it did exactly what I needed it to do, get Tory away from Megan. Again, I wasn't afraid for my life when the incident was going on with Megan. I was in defense mode. But then I became afraid for my life when he started like pulling my hair and my neck because it was really, really hard. through. I had sent a text to her security. I sent a text to her security at the time.
Is that Justin?
That's Justin. And because they weren't answering the calls, so I think I said like help 911. Tory shot Meg, or.
And when you say you were hurt, you were physically hurt, mentally hurt.
I didn't even realize I had bruises, but my adrenaline was so high. When I say hurt, I mean emotionally.
Yeah.
Like,
were you scared
I
too?
was scared, you know. No,
separate car.
I was in a cop car.
Okay.
I actually went to the jailhouse, and again, I thought that was a normal thing to do.
So was that like 4 hours later or that you didn't spend the night at the jail, right?
Definitely spent the night. Well, I mean, I was there all night.
It was that same night though.
Oh yes, that same.
So then you got released like
that
after
morning.
several hours that morning.
I'm still sitting in the car. I received a call from a jail. Didn't think that it was Tory because I actually knew somebody in jail, and he had called often, and I would answer his call, and so I just thought it was him because it was normal for him to call early or late, or so when I answered it, it was Tory. They released me and Quan together, and outside of the jail, Quan said he made a comment and was like, money talks or something similar to those words. I don't know.
Did you have him elaborate on that, or did you ask?
No, I didn't ask. I was confused. He also said that Tory was trying to protect me, and I said, "Protect me from what?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "You'll find out later." Like, everybody was playing mind games with me. I don't know what's going on. Like, what am I supposed to do right here? Like, my stuff, and she tells me that it's best that I find a rental in Houston, or just find a rental. LA is dangerous right now. That house isn't safe to be at, you know. So I was like, okay, so just to be clear, you're telling me I need to move. I need to move after I just made an immediate move down here. Like, mind you, this is all while I'm confused and hurt and like, you know. So I'm having to deal with all this. I have the screenshot. She pretty much disclosed events without really disclosing everything. But just as my best friend, she could have said something.
I expected Meg to protect me publicly, and it's like she left me in the hot seat to handle all this. All of this was so unnecessary. We could have all gone home that night. That is day 5. And boy, my thoughts are my thoughts. I think that's damning for, in my opinion, both Tory and Harris. I think it is strange, in my opinion, that she would walk back on all of this that she has laid out. She has laid it out methodically. So it is damning to Tory and the accusation of bribery, because this is probably why people think that she has been bribed. It looks like that. I can't refute it. It looks like she got something to say this. But I'm praying in the integrity. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here. In the for our own integrity, let's say she wasn't bribed. Let's say everything that happened in terms of the trauma of the event, all of those things, and the possible guilt that she was the one that did it. Let's say that overtook her. There were a couple of things that stuck out to me that indicate that this could probably be the case. I would never understand why, for someone who is the shooter, why she just never said he took the gun out of the console, but somehow he is sliding in through to the front seat from the back seat. Jaquan was still in the car, by the way. There would have been some discomfort at this point. So he slides to the front seat of the passenger side, and this is a diagram of the passenger side. Imagine going from here to the front seat after you got out. It doesn't make sense to me. Just based on where they were sitting, it doesn't make sense to me, because Tory was sitting on the driver's side. Kelsey was sitting on the passenger side, and it just doesn't make sense how he would slide into the front. Of course, he was vacated by Megan because she left the car. anyway, like I said, all of this just doesn't make sense in terms of the fact that she doesn't even mention that he had a gun or anything like that. It's just the threat. So he doesn't say she herself doesn't say she had a gun, etc. All those things. So I'm left wondering when did the gun take place for the first shot to be fired, let alone 4 other shots. Who had the gun? All those things. So that was where my revelations lie. But is it possible that she was paid off? Entirely possible. I think the fact that she's so squirmy about that subject and didn't even deny it. She went on to say, I wouldn't call it a bribe on day 4. And then we're seeing this. I'm pretty sure that's what basically, I think on this day, it was concluded by the jury that, yeah, she did that. She really did that. Sorry, not she. My bad. Take that back. He did that. Sorry. They concluded that he was the one that did that just based on Kelsey's behavior alone. So we're gonna move on to day 6 now.